Hello everyone and welcome to the 5th episode of our Let's Learn series for Victoria 3, where we'll be playing as Portugal and taking this once great nation, but currently a minor power, back to its natural state of being a major or possibly even a great power. And the way we're going to do that is by building up our economy, as we've discussed in previous episodes, and giving it a second shot at a colonial empire, this time in Africa, as technologies are advancing, and we will hopefully be able to fight malaria in the next 10 years or so, 10, 15 years. And we already have a foothold, and we're hoping to expand on that, while also maintaining our key colonies in Nova Goa, Macau, and the Portuguese Sunda Islands in East Indies. We're colonizing Gambia, South Angola, Mozambique, and Zambezia. And yeah, in the first few episodes, we have set a course to again colonize, support that with research of pharmaceuticals and quinine, to hopefully improve our population growth. We have also set ourselves on building some logging camps and construction sectors in Beira to reduce unemployment, and urgently create jobs for our pops here, as well as put one logging camp in our capital state to support our glassworks. We've also established a trade route to hopefully import up to 100 wood from Great Britain. So let's go ahead and unpause at a slow speed. And we also went over the last two episodes in great detail over government formation, legitimacy, what interest groups are, what's clout, what are ideologies, what is approval, where does it come from, how does it work, what needs to be considered, etc. So watch those episodes for a very in-depth explanation. And we have rejigged our government by excluding intelligentsia, despite the fact that our Queen Maria de Bragança actually endorses them or supports intelligentsia, but we have kicked them out since they a little bit too liberal for us. They just don't gel well with the way our country with the direction of our country right now. We have included Catholic Church and petite bourgeoisie to compensate for that, and we are hoping that the landowners will slowly lose political clout, while Catholic Church and petite bourgeoisie will gain. To that end, we are bolstering Catholic Church and petite bourgeoisie, and a political movement has arisen towards the end of last episode for a dedicated police force, and we have decided to capitalize on that and go ahead and try to shift from a local police to a dedicated police, with a view to remove this bonus of 10% political strength from landowners, and kind of trade off some of the bonus to reduction in state penalties from turmoil, which we don't actually have any of at the moment. So trade off 5% of that, because local police gives us 20% state penalties from turmoil reduction, whereas dedicated police force gives us only 15%, but it does compensate for that 5% loss in state penalties from turmoil, with minus 5% radicals from standard of living decreases, which, can happen as our economy kind of rejigs itself. And, while we have unemployment, this will actually be beneficial. Now, I have explained the way laws work at the end of last episode. So we are now waiting. Netherlands is improving our relations with us. Okay. Sure, we'll accept that for now. But we are, effectively we have a 35% chance so first of all, there's law enactment progresses in checkpoints. Checkpoints take a base of at a base level at every 100-day interval. That can be reduced in various ways, by having a very legitimate government, for example, or having a lot of authority. We have neither, so we're just gonna stick with 100 days. At every checkpoint, there's a chance for the law to succeed, to trigger a kind of a success, and that means it moves to the next phase. It needs to do that once to move to consideration, twice to move to assent, and then third time to actually pass. It also has a chance to advance, and that is based on the success chance, and that basically means it doesn't actually succeed and go to the next phase, but something positive happens, most likely increasing the success chance to pass on the next checkpoint. There's also a chance to stall, and that is driven by our landowners' political clout, which is pretty huge. It's half of political power. It is fortunately on the decline anyway. An end of discussion factor is dragging that down further, as you know, the more the law spends in being enacted, I guess people become more accepting of it in any case as debates go on, and that seems to drag down the stall chance and increase the advance chance, which is great for us. So we're in the process of passing that. While we're passing that, some of the interest groups have become happy with us. So again, I explained where approval comes from, so I won't go over it again. But armed forces have activated veteran consultation. Technological advancements are changing the face of war, but we can only make use of them if we understand how. Fortunately, those of us with first-hand experience should have an idea. That gives us 10% military research speed. We're not researching anything in the military directly at the moment, but I think technological spread should also benefit from this, I believe. A bonus or penalty to the speed at which technology in the military category is researched when spending innovation. So, yeah. Perhaps it doesn't actually benefit technological spread, unfortunately. So maybe this is pointless. Choice insider with Great Qing. You'll have to play against Great Britain. Let's have a look quickly, maybe just what is actually spreading in our military. It's the paddle steamer. Okay, that's good. So that's Navy offense and defense, right? And we get 7,500 innovation from spread. All right, yeah, and that's it. That's all we really get, 7,500. Also, our petit bourgeoisie became happy with us, right? Because we're passing a law that they endorse, and they've activated middle manager. We can't make everyone do everything by the book, but we can at least keep what's done on the books. Someone needs to remember the proper way to do things around here, and that gives us plus 10% bureaucracy, which is great. And that, I mean, that is good because that has increased state construction efficiency while we have excess bureaucracy. All right, now we're also in the process of moving up to Colonial Affairs Institution 2, giving us a plus 100% increase in colonial growth generation from POPs in incorporated states, so doubling the speed of our colonization. Now that will eat 28 bureaucracy. We could, if we pass dedicated police force, we could actually increase our police institution. We will get healthcare in 6 years' time, so that will be another 30 bureaucracy taken up. So effectively this is already 60, so we kind of have 80 to spare maybe. So this kind of makes me think, do we want to incorporate any like Azores or such? I mean, it's only 20 bureaucracy, and again, that would... yeah, perhaps not for now. Perhaps not for now, because we're not going to get a lot of taxation from them. And okay, yeah, we will incorporate, we'll make them fully integrate into our political system, but all that really will... Well, I guess now we'll get migration. We're getting negative migration. Immigrants to North Angola and Extremadura last week. Unincorporated states. Fine. I guess let's just keep it as it is, maybe for now. Yeah, we'll need some bureaucracy. Yeah, incorporating these should improve. Well, only improve our tax revenue marginally, because there's only what 50,000 peasants between these three states. Right, we will get 7% of the wages as well, but they don't have a big economy. Yeah, so they will just affect politics, consume bureaucracy, but not a lot of taxation in any case. So let's just hold off in integrating them. I think that's the decision we're going to go with. Now we are addressing all of these little alerts that we're getting. We just need time, so we can go to speed 3 even. Oh, actually check out this diplomatic play in South China. Now, because we have a colony in Macau, we are actually have we can actually participate here. And diplomatic play in South China, what is it? It's Great Britain versus Great Qing. Great Britain is mobilizing. They're cocky initiator. What do they want? They want Shaozhou Treaty Port. That's their primary demand. And Qing to pay war reparations. Qing in turn wants Britain to pay them war reparations. And British East Indian Company war reparations. Primary demand. Joseon to pay... Okay, so British East Indian Company is to pay war reparations to Joseon. What's that? Country in King Market. You know? Country is that? Okay, so that's basically what China, Joseon. Okay. So that is what the play is about. I think we'll just declare neutrality, really. I mean, do we really... Where's the Shaozhou? Oh, that's right next to us, actually. Alright, that's kind of Hong Kong. No? Yeah. Interesting. Hong Kong is not actually represented. Xi'an, Shuguan, Guangzhou. I mean, Hong Kong will be right here, right? It's right next to Macau. We don't really see it. Law progressed to consideration. So at the checkpoint, the success chance is actually triggered, and our law progressed straight to consideration. Perfect. Yeah. So allegiances offer support. And that's it. We kind of declare neutrality. Yeah, we'll just declare neutrality. We're just happy with our little port of Macau. We'll just keep that. Yep. So let's sort that out for now. We can't really help Great Britain anyway on that side of the world. So let's just keep the time rolling. We are building our first building here, the logging camps. We have discussed, guys, also in previous episodes as to why we don't want to go from simple forestry to sawmills to solve our wood deficit. And that is mainly because we want to keep shopkeepers rather than capitalists, because we don't really benefit from increased investment pool, while we do want a higher number of middle strata pops, and we do want more support for petite bourgeoisie, which is, yeah, growing in support, just like Catholic Church, at the expense of landowners. So perfect. Nation is developing exactly as we want it to be. Oh, our urban center has been created in Brera, employing some of our unemployed. That's perfect. And that is because we built... Wait. Why did it get created? That is interesting. Because we haven't actually completed the first building. 293. Okay. I swear I saw... We'll see. We'll see how that works. I mean, our private sector is building whaling stations in Portuguese South Angola. Fine. So our construction queue then. Yeah, we're building 2 logging camps in Brera first. Private sector is also building fishing wharves in Alentiano. Oh, why? That's kind of the last thing we want, really. We don't... So Alentiano will be driving our industrialization progress by building iron mines, coal mines, and sulfur. It doesn't have a lot of labor, so we really don't want to waste it on fishing wharves, but fine. We'll just have to contend with our private sector. Sometimes they make really good decisions, sometimes they make rather terrible decisions like that. But it's okay, that's just how the world works, isn't it? So there we go, finally. More wood for our economy. The wood is no longer very expensive, which is great. In fact, that means I might even go to the queue and in fact prioritize the construction sector first, since we do have you know, some well, we only have running a small budget deficit, so we can afford to build the construction sector quickly, employ 5,000 people and speed up construction across our nation, which will hopefully provide gainful employment to our pops, upskill them. Let's have a look how these whaling stations in Portuguese South Angola do, and whether they're actually profitable at all. Okay. Are there? Nobody in the world wants oil. And okay, some meters actually is needed. So I guess, yeah, well, they are profitable. Let's see. Okay, law progressed to assent straight away. So again, the success chance triggers. Very lucky for us. You know, they don't always go that smoothly, but I've had laws, you know, fail at the last phase as well. So let's not jinx it. That was our law. Now the building gets built and it will start hiring, right? Logging camps you see here is a very profitable building. So we actually hired up pretty quickly. Now let's also have a look as to, you know, the 100 wood. Okay, so urban centers are building up and hiring more people. Excellent. Trade centers. Where's the trade center that handles the logs? I mean, we are surely... Interesting. So market trade routes. Yeah, we are importing 45 wood from Great Britain. But where is that trade route administered? I don't quite understand. Should be showing up here, but it isn't. Very interesting. Okay, this so Alenteo doesn't have a port. That's why there can't be any trade routes. But here also no trade routes. Interesting. Import trade route. Wait, importing 288 liquor. Jesus. Fine. Where's the wood? Unclear. Unclear where the wood is coming from. But logging camps have actually, you saw, employed pops quite quickly. Sorry, 1 sec, let me just set my timer. I forgot to set it at the start of the episode, but yeah, there we are. We'll play at a relatively slow speed of 2 and 3, so we can actually trace through what is happening to our nation. And what happened when we built logging camps is that, some of our unemployed became laborers and shopkeepers, right? Increasing their standard of living. Therefore, you see, most increasing loyalists. So we got plus 17,000, the most impactful factors from increases in standard of living, right? Loyalists by profession, peasants, shopkeepers, laborers, other professions. Loyalists by interest group, it's petite bourgeoisie, Catholic Church, and rural folk. That's exactly what we want. We want more loyalists in petite bourgeoisie and Catholic Church to activate those traits, because they have some really good traits, and we'll see what they are when they actually do get activated. In fact, we can look at them now. So if we were to get our approval for petite bourgeoisie to 10, which is currently 7, we would get, as long as the government would get treasury bonds, and that's the background here is as long as the government can be trusted to pay its debts, putting our hard-earned savings towards funding this great nation is not only patriotic, but a good investment. Give us minus 10% loan interest rate, although we're not actually borrowing any money just yet. So that's okay. Now, at this checkpoint, it looks like we had an advance event for enactment in dedicated police force. So we didn't quite succeed and pass the law, but something positive happened. What is it? This afternoon, Antonio José Severim do Noronha, leader of the armed forces, delivered a fiery speech advocating for the enactment of dedicated police force. Making an appearance before the public on Lisbon's main square, Antonio José Severim, powerful rhetoric left even his most embittered political opponents impressed. Sorry, let's just pause because there's things going on. As excerpts from the speech are already being circulated across Portugal, fanning the fires of an already roaring debate. This should ease the path to reform greatly, so we can get public convinced, and plus 15% enactment chance for the next phase. That would be great. There's an alternative, however, here. Performances like these reflect well on Antonio José Severim's, the Noronhas, and his cause, so we get plus 10% enactment chance. But Antonio gets plus 25 popularity, and Armed Forces for 5 years though, and Armed Forces gets rising public support, 5% interest group pop attraction. Now, Armed Forces aren't in government. We already have one of their traits activated, so we don't really need them to be more powerful, and this is temporary anyway. So let's just go ahead and say that this should ease the path to reform greatly and just increase the flat success chance for the next phase. Hopefully just get it over and done with passing dedicated police force. Now, what also just happened is that we've actually upgraded our colonial institution to 0.2 growth per pop. So all pops in incorporated states generate colonial growth, right, at certain rate. At level 1 is 0.1, at level 2 it's 0.2. So we just had a 100% increase. So if we have a look at our colonies, right, this has now halved. It used to be 11,000 days, pretty ridiculous. This is now 5,000. The reason for it's so long is we're kind of biting off more than we can chew, really, because we have 4 colonies developed simultaneously, and we just don't really have the population to support it. Plus, there's obviously the 90% colonial growth penalty from malaria, which we will solve with quinine in the next 10 or the next 15 years or so. Now, there's a duel happening at Extremudas. This is just a random event unrelated to anything. It's just a flavor event. So Tiago Ferreira has challenged Vicente Braga to a duel to the death. Tiago Ferreira, he's a politician, head of petite bourgeoisie. He's pious and political operator. So this interest group gives plus 5% interest group political strength. That's actually quite nice. And Vicente Braga is an industrialist, honorable and erudite. Okay, but they're marginalized and we don't have any capitalists. No one really supports industrialists in our nation. The aura surrounding the 2 figures is like something out of a romantic novel. Vicente Braga smiles. He has been rehearsing this moment before falling asleep. Tiago Ferreira, you're a friendless bastard. Your insults cannot go unanswered. Pick a weapon of choice and we shall meet tomorrow. We should ban dueling, to be really honest. Landowners gets disapproves of dueling being banned for 5 years, -2 interest group approval. Intelligentsia gets +2 interest group approval. I like this one much more. I don't want Tiago to get killed, right? And even our monarch is part of intelligentsia, and she's a reformer, right? The young Queen Maria. So I feel like it's time for our country to move on. So we should ban dueling. All right, it doesn't matter that landowners get annoyed. Great, they now have lost almost 8% clout. Catholic Church is gaining. And at 20% they will become powerful, which will double the effects of any traits they activate. And it will be nice to get some authority. So we read through the traits of petite bourgeoisie, which are middle managers and treasury bonds. Treasury bonds not very useful right now. But Catholic Church, however, we would get divine right. We believe that there's an order to our lives. Society can reflect that order better or worse. As long as the rulers are virtuous and their decrees just, we can ensure that people know why. And that will give us +10 authority, or with 20% clout, actually +20 authority. That will be quite nice. We can issue an extra decree with that. Or maybe add some consumption tax. At 10 approval, they will give us be fruitful and multiply. Asceticism is fine for the few who dedicate their life to spiritual pursuits, but in the common people, the most important values to instill are those of building a family and caring for children. And that is +2% birth rate. A very, very good boost, especially early on, right? Our pop growth rate is improving. It is now 0.2, but we would like to get that to 1% ideally. So we do want more loyalist pops in Catholic Church. So more populist, so more clergy. How do we get it though? I mean, not sure. Logging camps don't really have any clergy in them. A Catholic Church used to be influential. Now they're powerful. Excellent. Well, let's have a look. Who actually supports Catholic Church in government? Petite bourgeoisie is also in government. Why doesn't it have... Oh, because they're powerful, right? That's why they get that little border. Aristocrats also actually support the Catholic Church. Even some shopkeepers do. Okay. So, fine. Clergymen obviously also support it. 16,000. Okay. Unfortunately, their leader is a little off. A pacifist. Let's have a look in southern Angola. Are the whaling stations actually a success? Well, they're actually fully employed. Yeah, it's a profitable building. Interestingly enough, well, actually, oil is used somewhere. Where is it used? Production 10, consumption 1 locally. I guess, yeah, there's probably is a bit of... In the Portuguese market, it's actually expensive. Show local prices. Show consumption. Okay, so it's just generally pops, kind of. They do use a little bit of oil here and there. Oh, actually quite a bit of oil they use, if it was available. Interesting. Very, very interesting. I didn't know. Population, local prices. Okay. Well, maybe that wasn't a very bad idea at all then. Yeah, take advantage of our colonies. Okay, well done. I like that. Taking initiative. Building up these whaling stations. Yeah, that's good. Are profitable. Not massively, but decent. Okay. That didn't go to waste. I mean, but come on. Fishing wharves in Alentejo. I mean, if you were going to build them in Beira because they're unemployed. Right? Yeah. Fine. What's done is done, I guess. Approaching another checkpoint on the enacting dedicated police force law. Now, we have built another construction sector, right? And obviously employed it. Increasing our demand for wood, right? Which we will satisfy by building another logging camp shortly. Fabric has also come down in price, so that's good. But we've gained another 2 construction points. Sounds like we will just fully employ this soon. Now, okay, another advanced event for enactment of dedicated police force. Grassroots support for law. The political wills and desires of the lower classes will always remain an opaque matter. For whatever reason, support for dedicated police force has spread like wildfire across Portugal, spurred on by charismatic speakers and lively debates in small-time social clubs. Public enthusiasm expedites reform. We get 20% political movement support. Movement to enact dedicated police force gets 30% support, and Petit Bourgeoisie gets grassroots support for 5 years plus 10% interest group pop attraction. Or we get 20% of lower strata in Extremadura become more loyalist. Let's get more loyalists, I guess. 20% of lower strata pops. Hang on, in Extremadura. Population. We have almost a million men here. Right, and amid peasants, laborers. Right, I reckon we don't need the success chance, right? Because we're already at 54, so we should pass this. Let's get more loyalists. Right, 20%. Oh, there we go. We now have 170,000 loyalists. Wow. How does that affect our politics, though? It really doesn't. Now, why? Because most of them are politically inactive. So yes, they're loyalist, right? Let's say 170 loyalist. Yeah, 162,000 of these are politically unaligned. The part of a pop that does not support an interest group is called politically unaligned. This is often due to low literacy or standard of living. Politically unaligned parts of pops do not participate in the political process, and any political strength they possess is wasted. The opposite of this is politically aligned, which means the pop is part of one of your country's interest groups, and the pop's political strength is attributed to that interest group. Well, it's interesting to trace that through and actually see the effect. You see, great, that this number is big, but it's kind of irrelevant that it's big, and that it's bigger than radicals. It's also kind of irrelevant that radicals are at 87,000, because 82 of them are politically unaligned. But we are getting quite a few radicals from standard living below expected minimum. 21,000 from discrimination. Well, discrimination isn't really going to stop. Alright. But, yeah, being below standard living, hopefully that will sort itself out as we build up our economy. Not much we can do right now. Now, logging camps have been built and are immediately fully employed. Excellent. Another logging camp is in order, and is also being built in Beira. Excellent. There's a logging camp in Extremadura built by our private sector, so potentially we might not even need an extra. Yeah, in fact, I am going to go to the building and potentially, let's move it down at least. Let's build some paper mills in Beira after this. We don't need the government administration just yet. But we will want, yeah, one more logging camp. Yeah, that will drop the price to a reasonable level. Then we build the paper mill, and then we build another logging camp in Extremadura. Let's have a look at another advanced event. Oh, discord within the landowners. An influential faction within the landowners has grown frustrated with their co-members is neutrality on the topic of dedicated police force. Themselves in favor of the law, they have now resolved to form a separate political faction intent on passing it. Excellent. With their support, the bill shall pass. We get plus 50% enactment chance. Landowners get minus 5% interest group pop attraction for 5 years. Not bad. Or the petit bourgeoisie extend an open hand to these mavericks. And we get 10% enactment success chance, but landowners lose 15% interest group pop attraction, whereas petit bourgeoisie gains 10. Yes, let's go with that, since our success chance, kind of chance, yeah, is pretty high already. But we will want to reduce political clout of landowners further, even if it's only for 5 years, and we improve the political prospects of petite bourgeoisie, and maybe we can push through another law once the clout rejigs itself a little bit. So you see kind of the clout and the political situation is constantly shifting for various reasons, including kind of events as random events or events that come as part of enacting a law. Significant export route for grain. Great Britain started an export route for grain from the British market to the Portuguese market. It's currently predicted to grow to level 7. For grain from the British market to Portuguese market. Okay, that is fine. Right, that is fine. What I do not understand, however, is why do our trade centers not working? I'm pretty sure this is the way they work, unless something has changed. Interesting. Is this because we... No. I was going to say, is it because we have a trade agreement with them? But no, that just removes bureaucracy cost. Right? Ongoing trade agreement. Right, a type of balance between two countries that eliminates tariffs and bureaucracy cost of trade routes between them. Yeah, so we don't tax trade routes with Britain. Okay, so actually the trade route with wood didn't actually yield us any revenue. Ah, okay, maybe that's why. Yeah, maybe, No, hang on. But we are importing paper from Great Britain, and we do get trade revenue after tariffs on this. Where's the wood? Where's the wood that we... Where's the wood that we import? Missing in action. Where's that great grain trade route? Right. Something's going on, to be honest, I think. Where is that massive... the massive grain trade route that was projected to go to level 7? Like, what came on the news? Fake news. There you go. You heard it here first. September 1837. That's when fake news first appeared in the world. I swear, fake news, guys. That's it. There is no great trade route. British fake news. Fine, let's just roll with it. Okay, well, let's keep building our country up. Right. Good to have some local supply of wood in Extremadura, as we do have glassworks here. Wow, porcelain is actually expensive. Interesting. And the wood is expensive in Extremadura itself. We now have dedicated police force. Pause for a second. Dedicated police force has been passed. This country has a dedicated police force with standardized training. So minus 15% state penalties from turmoil, minus 5% radicals from standard of living decreases. Okay. Now Catholic Church has activated divine right because they're happy, giving us plus 20% authority, right? Because their cloud is above 20%, so they are powerful. That gives us quite a bit of 100, give us 150 extra authority. That's excellent. Let's go to our politics, and first of all, let's go to our institutions and dedicate police. So we could actually go to level 5. Now, but that will take a lot of bureaucracy. But we will gain fewer radicals from standard of living decreases, which we are currently gaining at a good clip. The most impactful factors are we actually standard of living below expected minimum. So actually it won't really help us at the moment, I don't believe. Okay. So let's just keep Moving political movement disbanded to enact the dedicated police force because it was enacted, obviously. Now, are there any other laws? Actually, let's just wait. We can just wait without laws for now. We'll wait for the clout of the landowners to decline. And maybe we find a way to further weaken them a little bit. So we can actually start shifting our country more towards petite bourgeoisie. Now the logging camps in Extremadura are becoming employed. And given we have a little break, let's go ahead and talk about how buildings actually work. Let's move this to speed 2 so that we go kind of slow. So how do buildings actually work right now, right? So actually let's keep it at speed 3. Let's let this thing actually get fully employed, right? Let's have a look. Logging camps, for example. We already discussed what do they do. Right, basically it doesn't require any inputs, it just employs some people, some laborers to chop the wood, some shopkeepers to run, keep the books, organize the whole enterprise, right? We pay them, this enterprise pays them some wages, uses up one infrastructure in the state, and produces some wood for us. And adds to urbanization of the state. Now the first thing that's important, but I think that is perhaps not intuitive and not explained very well, is the relationship between quantity produced and price, right? So in the real world, right, in the real world economics, price and quantity both adjust until an equilibrium is found, right? Because every time a price drops, a demand for the good increases, right? If iPhones became 30% cheaper, people would demand more of them, right? So Apple's revenue, it is questionable whether it was increase or decrease. That depends on some factors. But broadly speaking, when a price drops, quantity increases, and then a price maybe drops some more, quantity increases. Sorry, okay, let's pause that. We have a devout scandal. It has been revealed that Candido de Cunha of the Catholic Church has been having a secret affair with a member of the clergy. His resignation is being demanded. Force him to step down. Yeah, he's a pacifist. He's liked though. Yeah, but he's a pacifist. He wants national militia and he wants no colonial affairs. Get out. Get out. Who did we get though instead? Oh man, what is this? Another pacifist? This leader believes in non-violence, their method of peace and goal. And he's also unpopular. Oh, that's bad. That's bad. They're gonna start losing clout. Maybe that was a bit rash. Popular leaders are actually quite good because they attract, or yeah, we're gonna start potentially losing clout here. We don't want to do that. We want to be fruitful and multiply. Oh, okay, maybe that was a bit rash. But coming back to building, so in real world, quantity and price both adjust dynamically until an equilibrium is found. Now in Victoria 3, I think it's due to kind of mathematical computations that would require. This is kind of abstracted away from, and the way it really works is that as long as the building is fully employed, it will produce a kind of this nominal quantity of 30 wood, right? And let's say we have you could see that in the Serbia playthrough most clearly because it's a one state country. But let's say here we're producing 30 wood, right? And our glass works here. It can be demonstrated here too. So they require 30 wood, and our local logging camps produce 30 wood. So kind of, if you played any other game, it will kind of tell you, okay, so we're producing 30, consuming 30, everything is good, right? And you might think, well, if I build a second glassworks, and now I demand 60, but this thing is only producing 30, like, oh no, we have a shortage. But no, you don't actually get a shortage. Well, in fact, sorry, you will, because if you actually build a glassworks and your demand is double your supply, you will actually get a shortage, pardon me. But if you build another building that demanded, let's say, an extra 15 wood, so our total demand in this province would be 45, right? In fact, let's say, but let's say our demand was 45, but we only produced 30. Then what actually happens is that the price of a good would move, and that would still satisfy kind of the demand across all buildings. And prices in Victoria 3 move between kind of base price, which is kind of 0, and that's kind of base price of that good in the game. It moves to below 75% below that base price, or 75% above that price, right? And if demand exceeds supply significantly, the price will first go to 75% and try to satisfy kind of the demand that way, and it will then turn into a shortage, right? And if it drops to 75%, well, it can't go any lower. It will be so cheap. I mean, if you look at kind of like dyes right now, for example, probably, yeah. So you see minus 68%. Okay, so can't really get cheaper than that. But quantity can come down, and the way it comes down is, for example, see here, there are actually not enough people employed to keep this at full employment. This is because employing more people would increase the wages the building pays and would decrease its profitability. So the buildings do adjust hiring, in the extreme cases, adjust hiring to try to keep, find a balance of profitability. Now, our private sector is actually building coal mines, excellent. We're building paper mills, which is another key input good for our market and for our government expenditure. So that would be good. It will unfortunately take for a long time, a year almost, to build it. 63 weeks. Wow. So that is how kind of buildings work, right? So we pay wages, we produce certain goods, prices move between minus 75 below base price to plus 75 above base price. If demand exceeds supply by twice as much, right, then there is a shortage, and that gives us sort of penalties, as we've seen when we started off the game with wood, right? They use some infrastructure, they provide some urbanization. There's production methods we can change to kind of change what the building produces, how it produces it, what inputs it uses, and how much it outputs, what kind of outputs it uses, how much labor versus how much transportation, for example, or other capital it uses, and who owns the building, right? As we already talked about that before as well. Now, when a building is built, it slowly finds people in the state to be employed. If there are any peasants, or if there are any unemployed, it's most likely the unemployed get employed. If there are any peasants in the state, right, most likely it's the peasants that leave their subsistence farms, flock to the city or the resource area and start working there for a wage, because that income is typically higher. And as we sort of slowly come to full employment of laborers and shopkeepers to start operating this building, hopefully profitably, right? If it wasn't profitable, they would stop hiring. But right now there is, a weekly balance of 318. A decent kind of balance that keeps his pops happy and affluent, right? Now, 318 from positive balance goes to, at first, cash reserves, right, which are set at 25,000, but that can be increased by a tech. And effectively, at first, the profits, the kind of the owners of the building, of the industry, save up those profits for a rainy day. Right, so they build up the cash reserves to 25,000, and if the building were to ever become unprofitable, they would first draw down on cash reserves before firing people and reducing the quantity of production. That helps them weather any temporary fluctuations in the economy. Also, what's important, so you can actually read the tooltip here. The assets of a building are stored in its cash reserves. If the building runs a positive weekly balance, some of the money is deposited into the cash reserves, while the rest is paid out to POPs with ownership shares as dividends. Cash reserves are considered to be owned by the POPs with ownership shares, who will be angry if their cash reserves are destroyed due to downsizing or bankruptcy. The sum of all cash reserves in your country determines your credit. Yeah. So the sum of all cash reserves, that's what I was going to say before I started reading the tooltips, determines our maximum credit, which if we go to budget, assets, we can see here, we're not borrowing money now, but you see in terms of loans or debt, right? Our interest rate is 20%. That could be reduced, for example, by 10% if our petite bourgeoisie activates the treasury bonds trade. If they gain 20% clout, and oh dear, because we have an unpopular leader in the Catholic Church, their clout has now fallen. But I guess important to note here, so kind of digress from petite bourgeoisie, but Catholic Church, you see, it now has 19% clout, but it is still considered powerful, because on the way up, you need to breach a 20% threshold to become powerful as opposed to influential, but there is a little bit of leeway on the way down, in that it's kind of harder to lose that status, and you need to breach the threshold of 18 to lose the status of being powerful. And so we're kind of holding on to this powerful status for now. But interesting to note here, again, how we changed the leader because we didn't like him to be pacifist, but he was popular, right? Whereas current leader is unpopular. And therefore, current leader is also arrogant. Oh, minus 10% interest group pop attraction. Oh, this guy. So popularity. Popularity of a character measures the willingness of pops to follow them. Popularity can have different effects depending on the character's role. Minus 5 here because he's arrogant. So minus 10% interest group pop attraction. Can we retire you or exile? No, we cannot. Sad. But coming back to petite bourgeoisie. Okay, we're actually building up clout again. But coming back to petite bourgeoisie, right? If they activated minus 10% loan interest rate, then we wouldn't be paying 20%. We'd be paying 18%. Okay. Let's pause for a second. We have enact homesteading movement. Let's finish talking about this though. So we would pay 18% on any principal that we borrowed, right? Until we pay it off, obviously. Now, total credit here is 2.77 million. And that is equal. The national credit is the amount of money the treasury can borrow from its economy, equal to the sum of all domestic cash reserves, plus a base value determined by gross domestic product. If the principal exceeds the credit limit, the country goes into default. And if we default, we can declare back. We can either try to pay off, but we stop all construction, or we can just declare default, and that means the following additional penalties. This would be all cash reserves are wiped out, first of all. It would create a lot of radicals, right? And it would give us, for 10 years, we'd gain massive penalties to offense, defense, radicals. It's a painful process. You don't want to go there. In fact, as a sort of a minor power, I would argue you don't even want to borrow money. Maybe a little bit in the short term if you have to, or if there's a war and it's an existential threat. But otherwise, you should really manage your treasury, national budget, such that, okay, you might kind of build up like we have. Start off with some gold reserves, and maybe you run a small deficit to just slowly deplete the gold reserves, but then hopefully with the aim to build them up again in the future. But you really don't want to borrow because 20% is an extortionate interest rate. If we became a major power and our petite bourgeoisie was powerful and we activated treasury bonds, which would give us minus 20% then if they were powerful, right? Plus major power, that would give us minus 30% plus some techs. So some technologies in the society tree, like banking, for example. They give 10% minting and minus 2% loan interest rate. This is a flat minus 2, right? So you can bring that down to like 16, 12, 10% by the mid game, and then it probably makes a bit more sense to actually borrow money. Now, so that was kind of the building, the long guns. They will build up these cash reserves, and after that, they will pay out all of the profits, right? They will pay all of that out to the pops who own them. And as we already talked about, the reinvestment pool, these pops, depending on what kind of ownership pops they are, if they are shopkeepers or farmers, they will kind of deposit 5% of that into the investment pool. If they are capitalists, they will deposit 20%, which is, I'd say, the main advantage of capitalists, right? They love money and they want to invest more money constantly. And aristocrats reinvest 10% of their money into the investment pool, which pays for these private sector buildings, which are now actually building coal mines in Lanteo. That's actually very good for us, right? Because that will lay the foundation of our industrialization, which is kind of ongoing already, but will commence in earnest soon when we actually start building kind of things made out of iron potentially. Now, we have a new movement that has formed to enact homesteading. Well, this one is a little trickier, although let's go to our laws and check. So this is part of land reform. We're currently on tenant farmers. That gives 25% landowners political strength, unlocks multiple new production methods. Okay, and one interest group obviously supports this law, and that's the landowners. Agricultural land is owned by hereditary elites. Workers are not tied to the land and may seek alternative employment if they can find it. Yeah, so we generally, yes, it's the landowners who support it, intelligentsia, rural folk oppose it. I would actually go ahead and try and enact it. Now, where do we get 20% from? It's only from the political movement. Petit bourgeoisie don't really care about it, nor do any other interest groups that are in government. Catholic Church don't care about it. Landowners oppose it. But we could give it a go with 20%. Otherwise, this movement will just keep being here, right? The reason it has 20, again, is because the sum of clout of intelligentsia, rural folk, and trade unions together, plus 6.8 from POPs being supported by 440,000 of the population. Okay, 6.9% of the population support this law, so that gives them another 6.8 clout on top of the interest groups. So I guess this is probably the unaligned POPs can also request some laws to be passed, I guess, or they... That's interesting. That will make 111,000 division more loyalists and stop it. And yeah, reduce the power of landowners if it passes. So let's give it a go. I mean, if it fails, it fails, right? Well, what is the extra, sorry? So what does it give? So we remove the 25% bonus to political strength of landowners. That's a plus. The movement to enact homesteading is demanding the enactment of this law. Yep, plus 25% political strength of farmers. Farmers. Unlocks new production methods. And that basically means whatever agricultural buildings we have will be owned in part by aristocrats and farmers. Farmers are kind of middle class owners. Yeah, it's not a bad. When enacted, the petit bourgeoisie will attract middle strata POPs employed in rural buildings. Yeah, okay, that's good. So we'll strengthen our petit bourgeoisie that way. Let's go ahead and give it a go. Give it a go. 20%. I mean, it's not great, but I'd say that's a respectable amount to start with. Now, intelligentsia is ecstatic, right? Avant-garde, activated, plus emphasis society research, and that is actually very good. They're now very much approve of us, and they're loyal. Intelligentsia propagandists has gone up to 25% migration attraction to us. Okay, excellent. Landowners, noble privileges activated. Ooh. What does that do? So they are now really angry with us. Really angry. Whatever happened to the idea that the nobility should be left to perform its duties without being hounded by tax collectors? It is time to bring those days back. So we get minus 20% agriculture tax income, ranching tax income, plantation tax income. Ooh. And because they're powerful, that's a plus 100%. Ooh, wow. Okay, well, they're angry with us. Okay, that is tricky, because when they get angry, they could actually even start a revolution. Okay, we need to urgently reduce their clout. And it is falling off, so that's okay. Intelligentsia, yeah, like I said, are ecstatic. They love us. And that's good, because they're giving us 10% extra research in society, which we are going to be doing for the next 4 years to get pharmaceuticals, and then another 6 years for quinine. So we have 10 years to research those. So let's put this back up to speed 3 and see how we fare. Oh, success is falling. No, actually it's still 90.9%. So right, I guess. Okay, hopefully they continue to lose that clout there. Our GDP, I don't know why it shows that we came down from 6.5. We started at 3.5, so it actually is growing. A new political movement to preserve tenant farmers has formed. Ooh, there we are. This is not good. This is not good. Okay, land. First of all, preserve tenant farmers. A new political movement to preserve tenant farmers has formed. Their support is 37. Their radicalism is 164. Ooh. Okay, critical. Okay, so landowners are very unhappy about losing their status in this world. Very happy. Now, only 2 of our barracks are in Beira, so we could defeat them if it came down to it. Now, the way this works is that this will work is homesteading will continue to be enacted. If it does succeed and gets enacted, then this revolutionary movement will go away you know, the landowners will still be angry at us, but they will just go quiet, you know, and just be angry quietly. Now, the landowners has resigned from the government due to their approval being angry. Okay, so we have lost them from the government. So again, enacting homesteading will continue. If the law gets enacted, revolution will be cancelled. But during the time that we're enacting homesteading, revolution will progress every 8 weeks until next checkpoint, and then plus 25% progress will be added at the next checkpoint. Whoa! If it reaches 100%, a revolution will break out. So there almost certainly will be a revolution. Maximum progress 164 from radicalism. Wow, Jesus, they're really angry. What can I say? Plus 163 from angry supporting interest groups. Right, so that's 36 cloud times 300. Okay. Not sure why it's times 300, but that is a lot. So basically, we're definitely getting a revolution in the next... Well, 8 weeks is what? 8 times 7. 56. Right? I hope. 7 times 7 is 49. Yeah, 56, exactly. So every 56 days, but our checkpoints for the law are every 100 days. So I mean, we're definitely getting a revolution here. Because of how angry these guys are, we are 100% getting a revolution. We can't pass this in time. Unless, you know, we actually succeed on... Even if we succeed in every check. So that's another 80 days to go to consideration. Another 100 days to go to assent. So that's 80 plus 100 is 180. Plus another 100 to go from assent to approval, right? So we need 280 days at least. But with 20% chance, that is highly unlikely. So we are facing a revolution. We could also just abandon enacting homesteading. But we do want that approval from intelligentsia. And we really don't want landowners, right? I mean, we want to reduce that political strength, right? We want to redistribute it among other interest groups, really. Right? Their bonuses aren't great. They don't really give us. Their laws aren't great. Not bad, I guess, but not great. Catholic Church with Petit Bourgeoisie together are just fine. Now, they have also resigned from government, which means we now have an unacceptable government. Oh dear. Oh dear. Forces, intelligentsia. Oh, okay. We could actually include intelligentsia. And although we get the government ideology penalty, which is now smaller since we've excluded landowners, so there's more overlap between intelligentsia and Catholic Church and Petit Bourgeoisie. So we could get to contested government just about. If we actually swapped out Catholic Church for armed forces, we could also we could get 61. But I kind of want to keep Catholic Church in government because I want support for these kind of the health system. Well, I mean, there's nothing they do that we really want to pass. We already have everything passed that they want. Now, removing them will... No, yeah, but I don't want to lose their support. So we'll exit now. I don't want to kick them out because we really do want to get their approval up to 10 so we can activate, be fruitful, and multiply. That would be a good one. So Catholic Church, Petite Bourgeoisie, and Intelligentsia together will give us a contested government, which is good enough. Hopefully we raise their clout a little bit, especially after landowners maybe lose some clout, and push their approval up. So let's go ahead and confirm. Right, fine. We'll do without you, landowners. And yeah, so Catholic Church, yeah, we have the divine right. Why did it deactivate? Now it kind of reactivated. Okay, something just resignation from government. Okay, so we did just fine. Preserve tenant farmers, political movement. So that's all fine. Okay, we've come up on the hour, guys. So yeah, we'll tackle the revolution next. In the next episode, we'll walk over the mechanics for the enactment of law, which I kind of just went over quickly, and the revolution. But ultimately, they will occupy Brera, unfortunately. But but there's only 2 barracks there, so they don't really, and we'll have 8 battalions versus their 2, so we should be able to defeat them quickly. I think so. It's worth just push that through and kind of finish off landowners for the time being. They will drop in clout massively after they lose the war, and that's fine. That's fine with us. Let's make a cut here, guys. I hope you've enjoyed watching this episode. We're finally moving. Exciting things are happening. And yeah, hope you're enjoying it. If you are, please do give it a like. That's probably the last time I'll say it. It's the 5th episode. It will help to get the series out there. But yeah, things are exciting. Thanks you very much for watching, and I really hope to see you in the next episode. Bye for now.